Hey, all you Arizona lovers. This is the Finding Arizona podcast, episode number 388. Thank you so much for listening and watching. Today's episode is with Caitlyn Penny, who is the creative and owner behind Copper Theory Creative. We hope that you guys are enjoying yourselves this holiday season, but we're going to jump into a little bit of the business side. But before we get to there, I want to just say Caitlyn was wonderful to get to know. We hope that you guys are checking her links out that we always provide to every guest in the bios below. But for those of you who don't know what Copper Theory Creative, it's a full service branding and marketing agency. She does wonderful work throughout the valley. We hope that you guys are encouraged to go check her out, maybe even set up a one-to-one with her. She's very good at networking. I trust that you will learn at least one thing from this episode. But that being said, we'll jump into the businessy side now. You can catch every episode of Finding Arizona Podcast at findingarizonapodcast.com. All of our social media handles is under Finding Arizona Podcast: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We hope that you guys will check us out, stay connected with us, let us know who you want in next. If you want to just send us a direct line, that's findingarizonapodcast@gmail.com. And on top of that, I would like to include youtube.com/findingarizonapodcast, where you can check out our vlog, which is a little bit more of the personal side of things, so that you guys can stay connected with us. We try our best to make sure that you guys know what's going on, not only in our family life, but also on the businessy side. You can see where we go to as far as events, what we try and set up as far as different kind of recordings and creative items, and just kind of overall just a transparent look into our world. It's been a lot of fun. The 2023 year is coming to an end. We hope that you guys are having a safe and wonderful year, but we want to just say we also are trying to do a recap of what's been going on in the podcast. That will be our last episode of 2023, and hope that you guys enjoy that one. That'll be just a recap of what's been all through our doors and people and places that we've all been to, sharing our thoughts, sharing our feelings, sharing everything in between. That is going to be a fun episode, and we try and do that every year. This year in particular is going to land right on the dead of the 31st. Is going to be, I think, Saturday or Sunday. But that episode will be fun to record, and hopefully you guys will enjoy that as well. We've been working very hard. It's the holiday season, as I said before. Little guy is excited to go see his grandparents, to say Merry Christmas, to hang out with them, to share a wonderful holiday meal with them as well. And we hope that you guys are doing the same with your own families. We have learned a lot just being parents these last 2 years, and it has been great to just have this little guy as a part of our lives. We hope that you guys will be staying tuned, because his 3rd birthday is coming up, and we're very excited to share what's been going on with that. We've been working on a project specifically for his present, so hopefully you guys will stay tuned for that, and I'm going to just leave it at that because it's a really cool surprise. We will just catch you in the 2024 year, but we hope that you guys will stay tuned, because we have more stuff coming down the road, and we have some new ideas that we want to throw out there. But that being said, this is episode number 388 with Copper Theory Creative and with Caitlyn Penny. We will see you next time and next year. As always, kisses, hugs, and belly rubs to our four-legged friends. See ya. Bye.
All right, well then listen. It's time for the 4th quarter. This is our quarter. We need you on your feet right now. We need you loud right now.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Finding Arizona podcast. I'm your host, Jose, and as always, we bring in special guests every week. Today is no different. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd love to introduce you into Caitlyn here. Caitlyn, I'm going to let you introduce your business, but I want to say first off, thank you for coming aboard. Caitlyn is also an artist behind the scenes, for those of you who don't know, but I'd love to just get to know her and her business. Caitlyn, take it away by introducing Copper Theory.
Hello, thanks for having me. Well, I am Caitlyn Penny. I own Copper Theory Creative. We are a creative marketing agency. And so that means that I do a lot of speaking about branding. We offer workshops on personal branding and social media. And then we have a whole team of full service marketers for every service, including copywriting, websites, social media, SEO, ads, and we even do a little bit of print.
Nice. Very
Hmm.
good. Very good. So again, I have this thing where I just love talking about kind of this in particular branding. I find it very fascinating on a minutia scale and on a major effects how it kind of uses these brands throughout different opportunities and different stages on a bigger grandiose scale. So we'll get into that, but first off, I'd love to just understand your personal history. How did you kind of come to this, branding in general? Like, was it something that you went to school for? Was it something that has always been a part of your life? Can you give us that little bit of the origin story?
Sure. So art has always played a major role in my life ever since I was a child. My parents were supportive in their own way,
Nice.
meaning that if I was going to do this, I was going to do this right. So
Yeah.
I have been in every mall art contest, and I went to art school after school.
Wow.
And I always knew that I wanted to be in something art involved.
Yeah.
So all it took was a yearbook class in high school for me to decide that I wanted to be a graphic designer.
Awesome.
And then I went to college at the age of 17, actually, and I
Nice.
graduated on my 21st birthday. I got my BFA in Fine Arts and Graphic Design. And in school, they tell you that logo design is one of the most difficult things to get into. So
Mhm.
naturally, I was like, challenge accepted.
Exactly. Yeah. I love that.
And I like the personal aspect, I like the relationship side of things.
Mhm.
For everybody that we work with, we conduct an interview up front that basically goes over about them, about the business. I
Mhm.
want to know what their why is and why this is important to them because usually, well, our values within Copper Theory Creative are one, you're passionate about what you do, two, you believe that you're making a difference, and three, you're giving back to the community in some
Yeah.
type of way.
Yeah.
So not only do our clients share those values, but my contractors share those values as well because our tagline is go change the world in your own way.
I love it because in all honesty, just your goals and what you guys believe in is same thing that we believe in here. I started this back in grad school and I literally was just backed into it. I was screen printing for some
Oh.
businesses and I really love talking to the owners just because I was so fascinated by what they were trying to screen print on their shirts and just kind of understanding the businesses in general, and that led into conversations of like life, understanding of what they want to achieve and things like that,
Hmm.
and what's important to them, and why that passion keeps them going for what they do. So I was just like, wow, this is wonderful. Like you hooked me. And if you can do that, and I'm probably the most simple-minded guy you'll probably find, you can definitely make a big difference in the state and in the national level and things like that. And so I took it upon myself because I always heard good feedback, like thanks for this conversation or thanks, for talking with me. So I was like, okay, well, I'm listening to these podcasts and all these podcasts are telling me and back in 2015, it's like start the thing that you
Hmm.
want to do, start it.
Yes.
And I just was like, you know what? I think I can do this. I think I have a chance to make something out of these conversations. And that's when I took it upon myself to grab the gear, grab all of the equipment, learn the editing software on my own. And I was in landscape
Mm.
architecture in school, so I wasn't really
Okay.
learning anything about podcasting or audio or film or anything like that. So the great thing about it is I came in with a blank slate and with all of the kind of passion behind it as much as possible, and it just snowballed. It really did turn into, one guest kind of turned into five, turned into 10, turned into meeting my wife when we started dating.
Oh,
And
okay.
she turned into my producer, turned into my photographer, and turned into now we have this kind of pseudo business podcast thing that we're doing now where we just want to help people. We want to either give them an opportunity to be on the show or give them a chance to create their own podcast, create opportunity for themselves like we did. So we're generating podcasts for others and things like that. So it's like again, it's like that process of understanding each other and willing to open up about what they're passionate about really is something that we thrive on here and really
Hmm.
want to hopefully be the cheerleaders for those individuals as well. So it's great to know that someone like yourself and someone of a business branding opportunity is also thinking the same route and thinking like we have to understand this part first, then move on to, strategizing to help you brand yourself in a better light. So
Totally. That I mean, I love what you guys are doing because it gives people a leg up to get more exposure. And,
yeah.
starting a business isn't for the faint of heart, in case
Yes.
anybody out there hasn't figured that out yet.
Yes.
And, there's a stereotype of creatives not being such processes and systems people. And so you always have to make connections and you always have to figure out all of the things. So
Yeah.
being passionate about what you are doing helps motivate that along the way, I think,
Mhm.
because you wake up and it's not, a 9 to 5 job.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've been so enamored by, the creative process from a wallflower standpoint of like seeing
Mm,
so many great creatives come up with this thing or these, brands or whatever it may be, and just being the person of like, oh wow, like, hey, look, there's this, and then there's like this connection where it's like I've met this other person who's kind of like, the Venn diagram can meet up in a unique way. And for me, it's just always been that level of like I like being the fly on the wall and just hearing, what they're about, and kind of maybe pointing them in the right direction or finding that
hmm
thing that they're missing out on so that they can, guide them into that right fit. I'd love to just understand, that early beginning of painting or, art and
hmm
being a part of those little mall competitions. Well, I'd love to just like for you, was it something that, when you said to yourself, I love doing art, and did it feel natural to be like, oh, I'm going to now be a part of the competition realm? Like, some people may be in the sitting here and listening to us and be like, I'm all about the art. I don't want to sell any of my art. I don't want to, whatever. I just want to be an artist. And like, that
hmm
that taking that step into, monetizing the thing that they love or passionate about.
Okay, so when I was younger, I mean, I'm kind of a weird person when it comes to, I always knew what I wanted to do, right? I don't feel like I run into a lot of people that say that. It kind of just either fell in their lap or they figured it out along the way. And I was
Yeah.
determined, there's never been a plan B for
Yeah.
me. So I was determined to figure it out. And it does take a village. I mean, you can't do it alone.
Mm.
So I started out when I started the company in 2016, I was only doing branding and graphic design
Okay.
because that's what I like to do. And when I was younger, I enjoyed it very much. It was almost like a competition against myself.
Yeah. Yeah. I
so,
love that.
so I guess you could say I have a competitive nature. But I always loved every part of the process, even if it isn't so artsy. I mean, going to art school, a history class was art history.
Yeah.
So every piece of it just kind of played a part in the long run, in the grand scheme of things.
Hmm.
And anything that I've had to learn or learn that I don't want to do along the way, that's when you bring in people, that's when you bring in partners or
Hmm.
contractors and or outsource things that you don't want to do. If you're not a systems and processes person, then
Yeah.
don't try to be because and it's the same thing I usually tell my clients is like if you're spending 3 hours trying to design something in Canva that I could have done in 15 minutes, then how many contracts did you just lose because of that?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, again, it's like, so when we're just kind of like reaching the point of like where we're starting ourselves here at the podcast, like I'm letting go of certain aspects of what
hmm
to help free up opportunities to do more creative bits that I've always had on the back burner and just want to dive into again. So yeah, it's like there is a level of like, look, I could, for me at my end, it's like I could do this, but I have zero time to like get it.
Right.
I need someone to help me out. And that's where, yeah, I agree with you. It's like if you don't have the wherewithal, the bandwidth, whatever you want to call it, the
hmm
skill level, yeah, go out and seek others who have the same mindset and can have the same skill set, maybe even better skill sets to make the process easier and to
Hmm.
make it faster and more efficient for you to help level you up. And I it's taken me a while to get that in my mind and get on the level of like, okay, I can let this go. But
Hmm.
it has helped me tenfold on like getting certain aspects of this podcast done, edited out the door, and keeping clients happy. It has made my life a lot easier. It has made our family dynamic because we have a 2 year old, and it's
Hmm.
just, you know, I can't spend 1,000 hours doing that while raising him at the same time.
Right,
So,
right.
um, there's
I guess I
certain
would say,
things.
oh, sorry.
No, I was just gonna say there's just certain
I,
things I had to let go.
yeah, yeah. I mean, and in addition to bandwidth as well, I would encourage people to take it a step farther and think about what you can do or what you love to do,
Mhm.
what they can do, and then what can be automated.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So I'd love to also understand from the branding perspective. It's, like you said, you when you first started out, you were doing a lot more of just the graphic design and logo
Hmm.
elements and things like that. What was the first inclination of like, okay, branding is is where we need to go into next, or like what was that conversation for you and your kind of cohorts and who you work with of like, look, we can take it a step further. We can do all of these other things alongside your graphic design and logo making.
Yeah, so I love that part of it. So I am still the brand expert within the company. But I do, I like to say that I speak, I network, I do sales, and I offer the highest level of branding, and everything else is done by everyone else.
Okay.
And so along the way, I am a crazy person. I probably network about 60 hours a month or something like that. And I've met my team now. And so
Nice.
that's happened over the past few years. And then, it was a matter, all it really came down to was here's a logo. Instead of saying thanks, have a nice day,
Hmm.
it's thanks, okay, what's the next step for the client? And
Yeah.
then I acquired the right partners to help. So if you have a logo now and you need a website
Hmm.
next, I'm just going to hand you off down the line, keep it all under one house. It eliminates time and stress, and people find a comfort of having all of the services under one roof.
Yeah.
And then that way they don't have to have a t-shirt guy and a website girl, and I don't know where all my things are, and we have everything in one place for
Yeah.
everyone. And so it expedites the process, and it also eliminates the stress of the process for the client. But again, I'm not doing everything myself, so I just set them up for success. The brand and the logo is just the tip of the iceberg, and once you have that established, you can apply it to all of
Yeah.
the other digital marketing solutions.
I love that. That's again, it's like it's simple math. 1 + 1 = 2 sort of thing
Yep.
where it's like, okay, we have this part of it pretty much down pack. We have this is our bread and butter sort of situation. And then
Hmm.
now we just add on. We just keep adding the things that
Absolutely.
our clients need and totally smart way of going about it. I'd love to hear more about how much you network because that's definitely something up my route is just like
Yes.
we were just talking about this and just like you being in Chandler, you must
Hmm.
know Mike from State 48. You must at least
I
come across his
do.
path.
I just actually met with some of their board members on Friday.
Nice, very good.
Yeah, yeah. So we might be help. There's a co-working space in Chandler that they're trying to create some exposure for, but there's multiple businesses inside of it.
Yeah.
So, actually, my social media girl was one of the recent recipients of their grants that they did it
Oh,
at the
very
State
cool.
48. Yeah.
Yeah. I got a chance. I mean, again, I love those guys, and I will always state that they're what their brand is, who they are, what they believe in, and just kind of their overall business ethics of everything
Hmm.
that they've done so far is just been so incredible to watch and witness and actually feel like a part of it in a sort of way just because early on I got a chance to meet all three of the owners or at that
Oh,
time
sweet.
the owners Mike and the two brothers Nick, I forget his brother, the second brother, but anywho, just getting all three of them in one place at one time and having them just tell us the story of how it all came together. It was just a beautiful for me to like, hey, look, you I have no doubt that with all of your minds combined that you guys are going to be something great. And just seeing where they've come from and just watching them evolve has been such an incredible thing to witness and be like, feel like I'm a part of it. Because again,
Hmm.
when you're like, I feel for me as like every person who's come through our doors is like a friend, and every episode we've done is just we're cheerleaders for them. We want them to succeed. We love their stories, and we want them to kind of go on and be something and do something great. So it's just been wonderful to like that in general. Like them is just so cool and so awesome to see and witness.
Yeah, I used to work with the Arizona Animal Welfare League,
Oh, okay.
and they're the no-kill animal shelter over there
Yeah.
by the airport. But I've done a couple iterations of their State 48 shirts for
Nice.
the nonprofit. Yeah, but I think it's a great organization, and talk about, putting people on a pedestal and promoting, local business.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's such a
Mhm.
unique way of going about it. Just like it, I just want to say it's like just something as simple as what the logo and the brand as kind of the foundation of it, and then how they've kind of expanded upon it, going to these
Mhm.
different markets and different businesses and allowing themselves to interconnect and combine forces so that they can help promote them on one end. It's such a unique way of going about it and such a unique perspective. If you watch it, how they've kind of navigated it all,
Mhm.
it's so beautiful that it's like, yeah, you would think it's so simple. Like, it's like it's so simple. Like that makes so much sense. Like that should work that way.
Mhm.
And so yeah, great story, great. But we're here talking about you, Copper Theory. I imagine that your clientele is just kind of like I was looking at the list of it, and it's just so unique in their different kind of ways of going about it that your networking has paid off on that sense of for you. I'd love to understand of like what things that you kind of seek in a networking event or kind of understand is like, okay, I'm going to go spend time doing this much time and effort networking.
Mhm.
These are the things I'm hoping or looking for and what I'm trying to do and looking at as a place that I want to go be and spend my time at.
Okay, yeah, this is a little piece of one of our workshops that we offer.
Yeah.
And so the networking aspect of things, because I do so much of it, after a while, let's be honest, it's not sustainable, right?
Mhm,
And
mhm.
so you have to find the right places and the right people at the right
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
And so there's a couple of different rules that I'll share that I live by when I go to a networking group that I hope will help.
Mhm.
And one of them is, if it doesn't vibe with you, just go home.
Yeah.
And I know that sounds a little bit brutal, but if you're just not feeling it, if you walk into the room and it's stuffy or they're just not your people and you can feel it in your gut, trust your gut and
Yeah.
don't waste your time. I mean, you can stay for the hour or whatever it is and say, thanks, this was nice, but don't waste your time on something that you don't feel meshes with your business. And
Mhm.
if you can't find power partners in that, at least, then it's not going to work out. But I guess I should take a step back and say, think about why you're showing up.
Mhm.
Because if you are showing up for a social hour or a happy hour, maybe some other people are showing up for business or vice versa.
Mhm.
And so you don't want to show up to a happy hour where everyone's hammered
Yeah.
and try and get some business out of it. It doesn't work like that. So you
Yeah.
have to think about it like, what do you want? Why are you going?
Mhm.
What do you want to get out of it? And do the people match? Like, do
Yeah.
they vibe with you? And
Yeah.
if the answers on both sides aren't the same thing, it's usually not the place for you.
For sure.
Um, because, maybe they don't want to be bothered if they're just wanting a beer.
Yeah, yeah, I
Right?
totally get it.
And
I'm
if
just
you're
like,
trying to
again, it's
show up
like,
and sell people, then it doesn't really work.
absolutely, yeah, and that it makes total sense because as we, my wife and I have like talked about this for our own, like we want to start doing events because we've had so many great clientele and great episodes and people who we think would mesh really well together. It's like, what's
Mhm.
that next? Like you were saying, what's that next step for us of like, okay, we're a brand, we're a business, and how do we now combine, our Rolodex of individuals with each
Mhm.
other? And so
Yeah.
but we also don't want it to be a certain, like we want it to be as fun, but as professional, like in where do those, things meet at?
Boundaries fall,
Yeah.
yeah. Because it doesn't have to be the same old everyone stand up and give a 30-second intro and then we learn about something for 10 minutes and
Yeah.
then go at it and do whatever and take notes. I don't know. But it doesn't have to be so robotic. I mean, the idea is the best result is comes from an organic situation where you're not forcing an agenda down people's throats.
Mhm.
And if you're that kind of networking group, then you might that's okay, but
Yeah.
like it might not be your kind of networking group.
Yeah.
And so I would definitely, and people will be able to tell because one, you've already created a list of people that will show up based on just being on this podcast alone.
Yeah.
And so right there, everyone has a common interest. And then, it's a lot of local business, so that works too. And
Yeah.
so there's a local aspect to it. But I guess some other things too, as far as going to a networking group go, is I do my research beforehand.
Okay.
And so I know who's going to be in the room if I can know that,
Yeah.
what the event is going to be about. Um, excuse me. So sorry.
No problem.
So I know who's going to show up and I know my research before that. And so when I go to an event, I know who I want to talk to.
Mhm.
I don't just show up and just kind of become a
Wing
wallflower because
it.
there's no way that if you're a wallflower, if you're winging it, that it's going to work. You might have some luck if you wing it sometimes, but if you don't talk to anybody, then that's kind of an issue.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that I mean that you're sort of headhunting in a way. Like, don't be talking to me and then be looking over my shoulder looking for someone else to talk to.
Yeah.
Like, have those genuine conversations. You One of the things that I always say is because I do so much, sometimes, I'm not feeling it that
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
Okay. And any day that I'm not feeling it, I go more than I would on any other day. And I always make sure that I still show up because something always great happens. Right. And then I would say the last thing that, well, actually got two more. So my favorite one is to have an it thing.
Okay.
And so whenever I go to a networking group, I'm always wearing a hat.
Oh, nice.
And
That's
so people know
smart.
me as the hat girl, right? Or I have a floral blazer. It's usually like a combination of the two.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm also always wearing something copper because of
Okay.
my business, Copper
Yeah.
Theory Creative. So my skirt is copper, my hair is usually copper, my nails are copper, something that kind of aligns with the brand. So when I walk in, people will know who I am.
Yeah.
And that one you can have fun with. It's usually just something that makes you happy. And then I
Absolutely.
would say the last thing that I would suggest is when you show up to a networking group, it's for a purpose.
Yeah.
So why not book the calendar right then and there?
Perfect.
Why wait for the business cards? Why wait
Yeah.
48 hours to email people? Because let's be real, once those business cards go in the back of my wallet, they probably won't come out for a few months,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so if I just have a digital business card on my phone that allows me to connect with the person right there, it goes into a tiny CRM. It even yells at me if I don't follow up with you. But if you think that you should have a meeting with this person, why not say, why don't we put this on the calendar now?
Yeah, absolutely. And that again, it's those unique little details that I think is
Mhm.
perfect for why we're having this discussion is, one being the it factor. I'd love that. I'm going to actually use that myself from now on because it actually does make sense. I'm a hat guy myself, as you can see already,
All
but
right. See?
I love, different kinds of hats. I think they're a lot of fun on top of which I have other things like I'm native, and so I have an indigenous, like this turquoise bolo tie, and
There
that
you
is
go.
something that I love wearing to events and things. It makes me stand out. It's something that I
Mhm.
love talking about because it is from my godfather, that he made it. He's
That's
a
awesome.
jeweler, and things like that, where it's like those unique aspects. And then on top of which, you're absolutely right when it comes to scheduling these things. I get 100 cards when I go to events
Mhm.
based on the conversations I have and people wanting to be on the episodes. It's like I get cards upon cards upon cards. I've never really thought about it's like again, if I really am intrigued, I'll definitely follow up and I'll remember the name and it'll stand out in my head and I'll look it up and I'll make the contact even that. But to take it a step even further, it's like to have those aspects of like calendar set ready and the CRM telling you, look, you got to follow up right away. It's like
Mhm.
that's just that's big league stuff. Like that's the next that's the next level for me at least. It's like that's big brain thinking and
Mhm.
allowing yourself to be ahead of the curve sort of situation. So thank you again for allowing me to like pick your brain about that because I think
Yeah, of course.
absolutely important from a networking standpoint, just to have those in your back pocket. I love to get into a little bit of the minutia with you and just kind of your everyday. What are the things that you like to keep on your schedule to help you balance all of this out as a business owner? You wearing multiple hats, but
Mhm.
I'd love to just like get that aspect of like in your week you have all of these set scheduled stuff, and how does
Mhm.
that all kind of get balanced? Do you like to do like a little morning set routine? Is there something that allows you to keep this all moving in one direction?
Right. So I would say that your calendar is your friend.
Yeah.
Like I said, put it on the calendar if you have the chance to do so. So I not only use my calendar for booking things like meetings and appointments and podcasts, but I also use it to block out my time of what needs to happen when. And that kind of goes a couple of ways. One, it's just allowing me to structure my time accordingly based on the scope of work we have that week.
Okay.
And then two, well, okay, so the second part of it really is that I need to have a weekly meeting with a lot of our clients.
Yeah.
And so when we put those things on the calendar, it keeps everyone accountable,
Mhm.
and it also gives our customers a comfort of when we do meet, there will be an update. Everyone's on the same page.
Yeah.
That way there's a kind of steady flow because everyone knows their responsibilities. But, a website takes a month or more to get done usually.
Yeah.
It's nice to just hear from me once a week saying, hey, this is where we're at. Maybe we have something to show you, maybe we don't. But just, people like
Nice.
to know that they're not forgotten. So
Absolutely. They love that check-in. That's a very unique thing that people, it's like, I think we as humans just love that human contact of like, hey, you haven't
right.
forgot about me. You're keeping me in the mix. That's really
Mhm.
helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. And plus, my dog keeps me on a schedule. So that's always tucked into the calendar as well.
Yep.
And so that, yeah, honestly, everything is built around that.
That's really, I mean, it makes sense. It's just, I'm like, me and my wife are like to-do list people. Like that sort of thing is kind of like a priority in our morning, how we kind of approach things. And when we are actually getting ready in the morning, like brushing our teeth together, we kind of bounce, like, hey, this is today, just a reminder. It's like, and it's like we go through checklists together so that A, it's already on the calendar. We're like, yeah, I know, I'm already on it. And then B, it's like, okay, that also goes in the checklist of my own. Like I have a checklist literally written down, so does she. But like
Same,
we do it together kind of to keep ourselves one
same.
accountable, but two, it's just like it feels good to like she says, it feels good to cross it off your
It
list
does.
and
I'm a
just like
fan.
have that motion of like
Yep.
off done. But yeah, it's really incredible to like know that business owners of all shapes, sizes, because we've had a numerous amount of like ways they go about it. Like I've met people wake up at like 5 a.m., 4 a.m. and just they need to meditate before they do their checklist and
Hmm.
their accountability stuff. But it's so unique into each person's background and why and what they do. But it's really great. Like again, calendars are I feel like are so important to every entrepreneur. It's so funny, but it is at the end of the day, your life on a schedule routine of like these different things that you have to do to keep the business going. So
Hmm.
thank you.
And
Yeah,
if you don't have a calendar link too, and I mean, like all of you guys listening out there, if you don't have a calendar link, just get one. It makes your life way easier because if
yeah,
you could just hand it off,
yep.
and those people can choose a time that is available on your calendar, and everything's already set up.
Yeah, you can make it so easy on yourself to
Mhm.
keep a routine schedule of like these different things that you have to do that it's so I don't know how people did it before computers doing it. It's
Right?
like
Yeah, I don't know what I would do without my phone. Oh, I mean, not even so I could talk to people, just so I can know what I'm supposed to be doing in an hour.
Yep, exactly. Well, I mean, I really do appreciate you giving us your time and so much information of how you go about your business. And I love what you do, how you approach these things, and how you help your clients. We typically move towards the end of our conversation towards looking towards the future and some goals that you are hoping to achieve, so that our listeners who are here can help you and make your dreams come true, sort of thing. But
Awesome.
is there anything that Copper Theory that you would hope to achieve in the next couple of years? On top of which, are there any events that you'd like to just kind of like share that you'll be at or want people to
Mm.
know about?
Yeah, so in the past few months, we've been testing out doing workshops. And so we've got the process and system figured out now, and we
Nice.
offer it for personal branding and social media. And both you walk away with tangible items of what to do next. It's not just, I went to a conference today and now I'm never going to look at my notes again. It is, you have the same tools that we use on an everyday basis to post on, say, social media,
Yeah.
and it gives you a platform and a strategy in how to do so, so you're not scrambling what to figure out the day of, because usually when that happens it just doesn't happen,
Mhm.
right? And so we give you all of these documents to set everybody up for success, so we are offering those on a personal, we just come to you and do this together, or I'm also offering a group setting.
Okay.
And
Nice.
so they're going to be a lot of fun. um, it just I like it because it gives you what you need to be
Yeah,
successful, even if you're not ready to hand it all off yet.
absolutely. Thank you again for giving us a chance to understand where you're coming from as a business owner and just as an individual.
Hmm.
I'd love to just really one before we go, like your
Yeah.
art and just
Hmm.
where a lot of these pieces come from you. You said that early on as a kid that you do these you would do art. Where were you growing up? Are you from originally from Arizona? Because like you were bringing up a lot of like copper and just like the material and the color itself. Did you grow up here? And
I
was the
didn't.
oh, okay. So
Okay, so I'm
yeah.
from New Jersey.
Oh, really? Okay,
Hmm.
nice.
Hmm.
And so your art, like, give us a little bit of like why you choose the certain elements, because I know for artists it's like paint is different from metalwork or
Yes.
whatever factors. Like, why do you
Hmm.
choose the art that you choose?
Well, I grew up doing a lot of drawing. That was my forte, just pencil work, colored pencil work, either one. And I focused a lot on still life or scenery.
Hmm.
And so it was very detailed work, that actually gave me a leg up in the graphic design world
Okay,
because,
nice.
I mean, fun fact, you don't actually know, or you don't have to know how to draw to become a graphic designer, right?
Yeah.
Like they're two different programs. It's digital versus pencil in this case.
Mhm.
Um, but it kind of gave me a zen. It was just, I loved getting lost in drawing.
Yeah.
And so I guess to kind of cross paths, I am originally from New Jersey. And so actually drew Montezuma's castle. So that is in Arizona.
Yes.
This was 15 years ago, right?
Wow.
My parents just went there and they took my drawing and held it up to the actual Montezuma's castle. And so there's a side by side of both of these things. And I had no idea. This was like a far distant land monument that I had no idea about. And then we actually moved to Arizona.
Yeah.
And so I've got to see it in real life. But I just love it.
That's awesome.
And
I love hearing that.
yeah, and my last name is Penny. So that's where the Copper Theory creative comes in.
Nice.
And yes, it does help that I live in the state, the Copper State.
Yeah.
I feel like if anything, I have a leg up because my last name wins, right?
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
But I didn't want to put penny on anything because everyone actually thought they were getting something for free.
Oh,
And so
yeah.
I was like, well, that's out.
Yeah. No, I totally get that. That makes more sense now. Yeah.
It's a super, we have the 5 C's of Arizona. It's a super versatile element. It's
Mhm.
used in jewelry, it's used in wiring, construction, fashion. And And so you could do so many things to that. And so when you take a penny and add it to something of value, you create change, and we
Nice.
change the world in our own way.
Love it. That's a beautiful way to end our conversation. Thank you again, Caitlyn,
Yeah, absolutely.
for such a great ending there. And so now is the time where we give you the platform to tell us where they can find you online, all the social media handles, everywhere, anywhere that they can find you and seek you out. The floor is yours, Caitlyn. Take it away.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, if you want to just do the basics, email me. It's just hello@coppertheorycreative.com. And I am all over social media. So I'm most active on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. You can find me at Caitlyn Penny, and you can find Copper Theory there too.
Awesome. And before we go, ladies and gentlemen, we always have our outro here. You can find us at findingarizonapodcast.com. We make it easy for you to find us through social media under Finding Arizona Podcast under everything. Last but not least, we always say kisses, hugs, and belly rubs to our four-legged friends. We will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.